In the gritty streets of the Bronx, 1993 brought us a tale that would capture hearts for generations to come. A Bronx Tale, Robert De Niro's directorial debut, wasn't just another gangster movie. It was a powerful coming-of-age story about choices, loyalty, and the complex dance between love and fear. Based on Chaz Palminteri's autobiographical one-man play, this film painted a vivid portrait of Italian-American life in the 1960s, where a young boy named Calogero finds himself torn between two father figures, his hard-working, honest bus driver dad, and the charismatic neighborhood mob boss who takes him under his wing. What made A Bronx Tale truly special was its authentic voice. It showed us that sometimes the people we love aren't who we want them to be, and sometimes the people we fear have unexpected wisdom to share. It asked the haunting question, is it better to be loved or feared? And as Sonny Lo Specchio famously told Young C, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. Today, almost 3 decades later, the film remains a beloved classic that launched careers, showcased phenomenal performances, and gave us quotes we still reference. But whatever happened to the talented cast who brought these unforgettable characters to life? Let's take a journey back to the stoops of Belmont Avenue and discover where the stars of A Bronx Tale are now. C. Calogero Anello, Spa di Lillo Brancato. At just 17 years old, Lillo Brancato Jr. landed the role of a lifetime as teenage Calogero C. Anello, the film's conflicted protagonist. Brancato, plucked from obscurity in a Jones Beach parking lot due to his remarkable resemblance to Robert De Niro, brought authentic Bronx energy to his character, a young man walking the tightrope between his bus driver father's moral teachings and the seductive power of mob life under Sonny's wing. Born in 1976, Brancato was 17 during filming and is now 49 years old. What seemed like the beginning of a promising career took a dramatic turn. After A Bronx Tale, he appeared in Renaissance Man, Crimson Tide, and secured a recurring role as Matthew Bevilacqua in The Sopranos. But in 2005, his life changed forever when he was involved in a burglary that resulted in the death of an off-duty police officer. Though acquitted of murder, Brancato was convicted of attempted burglary and served 8 years in prison. What made Brancato's performance in A Bronx Tale so compelling was his natural ability to portray C's internal struggle, the painful journey of adolescence amplified by the specific pressures of his neighborhood. His chemistry with both De Niro and Palminteri created a believable dynamic that formed the emotional core of the film. Since his release from prison in 2013, Brancato has worked to rebuild his career with roles in smaller productions while speaking openly about his past mistakes and journey to sobriety. His story, like C's, reminds us that one's path is never straightforward, and redemption often comes at a significant cost. Lorenzo Anello, Robert De Niro. As bus driver Lorenzo Anello, Robert De Niro gave us one of cinema's most memorable father figures. Principled, hardworking, and determined to keep his son on the straight path despite the temptations of the neighborhood. The working man is the tough guy, Lorenzo tells his son in one of the film's most powerful moments, capturing the quiet dignity that defined his character. Born in 1943, De Niro was 50 years old during filming and is now 81. Already a legendary actor when he stepped behind the camera for his directorial debut, De Niro had built an unparalleled career with iconic performances in Mean Streets, The Godfather Part 2, Taxi Driver, and Raging Bull. His decision to both direct and star in A Bronx Tale revealed his desire to explore storytelling from a new angle. What made De Niro's portrayal of Lorenzo extraordinary was its restraint. In a career defined by explosive characters, he created a man of quiet principle, whose love for his son manifested not through dramatic displays, but through consistent presence and moral guidance. The memorable scene where he confronts Sonny, "You stay away from my son," demonstrates the power of his subtle approach. After A Bronx Tale, De Niro continued his remarkable career with standout roles in films like Heat, Casino, Silver Linings Playbook, and The Irishman. He went on to direct The Good Shepherd in 2006. Today, De Niro remains one of Hollywood's most respected figures, his performance as Lorenzo standing as a testament to his ability to find profound humanity in every character he portrays. Sonny Lo Specchio, Chaz Palminteri. As the charismatic mob boss Sonny Lo Specchio, Chaz Palminteri gave us a complex gangster who defied simple categorization. "Nobody cares," Sonny famously tells young Calogero after witnessing a murder, planting the seeds for their unlikely bond. This wasn't just any role for Palminteri, it was his own story, adapted from his one-man play based on his Bronx childhood experiences. Born in 1952, Palminteri was 41 during filming and is now 72 years old. His journey to bringing A Bronx Tale to the screen is legendary in itself. After writing and performing the play to critical acclaim, he reportedly turned down a $1 million offer to sell the screenplay because they wouldn't let him play Sonny. Robert De Niro saw the play, respected Palminteri's conviction, and agreed to his terms. What made Palminteri's performance so memorable was the humanity he brought to a character who could have been a simple villain. His Sonny was dangerous and violent, yet capable of wisdom and genuine affection for Calogero. The scene where he explains that Mickey Mantle would never care about Calogero the way his father does reveals the depth beneath the gangster facade. After A Bronx Tale, Palminteri enjoyed a prolific career with notable roles in Bullets Over Broadway, earning an Oscar nomination, The Usual Suspects, Analyze This, and more recently in TV shows like Modern Family and Godfather of Harlem. He's revisited A Bronx Tale multiple times, including adapting it into a Broadway musical with Alan Menken in 2016. Today, Palminteri remains one of Hollywood's most distinctive character actors, his Sonny Lo Specchio standing as proof of his remarkable talent for creating unforgettable characters. Young Calogero, Francis Capra. As 9-year-old Calogero, Francis Capra captured hearts in the pivotal opening scenes of A Bronx Tale. His wide-eyed performance as the boy who witnesses a murder and then refuses to rat to the police set the entire story in motion. "I did a good thing, right?" he asked Sonny after keeping quiet, beginning their unlikely mentorship that would shape his life. Born in 1983, Capra was just 10 years old during filming and is now 41. His natural performance as young C showed remarkable instinct for such a young actor, especially in the memorable scene where he's given the task of keeping lookout while the mobsters play cards, a sequence that perfectly balanced humor with the moral tensions at the film's core. What made Capra's performance extraordinary was his ability to convey both childlike innocence and street-smart awareness, creating a believable foundation for the teenage character Lillo Brancato would later portray. The chemistry between young Capra and De Niro established the father-son relationship that anchored the film emotionally. After A Bronx Tale, Capra continued acting with roles in Kazam and Free Willy 2, before finding his most recognizable role as biker gang member Eli Weevil Navarro in the cult TV series Veronica Mars. He later appeared in Heroes, Sons of Anarchy, and reprised his role as Weevil in the 2014 Veronica Mars film and the 2019 Revival series. Unlike many child actors, Capra successfully navigated the transition to adult roles, building a respected career while maintaining the authenticity that made his performance as young Calogero so memorable. Jane Williams, Terrell Hicks. As Jane Williams, Calogero's African-American love interest from Webster Avenue, Terrell Hicks brought a quiet strength and genuine warmth to a role that represented both forbidden love and social change. "Who's gonna stop something if it's meant to be?" she asks C, challenging the neighborhood's racial prejudices with simple, powerful wisdom. Born in 1974, Hicks was approximately 19 during filming and is now 50 years old. Before A Bronx Tale, she was relatively unknown, making her performance all the more impressive. Her chemistry with Brancato created some of the film's most tender moments, providing a necessary counterbalance to the masculine world of mob loyalty and street codes. What made Hicks's performance special was her ability to make Jane both an individual character with her own agency and a symbol of the changing times in the 1960s Bronx. The scene where she and C share a milkshake, defying social boundaries with a simple act, remains one of the film's most emotionally resonant moments. After A Bronx Tale, Hicks appeared in Just Cause alongside Sean Connery and Lawrence Fishburne, and had a memorable role as Keisha in the cult classic Belly with DMX and Nas. She also pursued a music career, releasing her R&B album This Time in 1997. While she stepped back from mainstream Hollywood in the 2000s, appearing in independent films like Subway Cafe, Hicks left an indelible mark with her portrayal of Jane. Her performance helped elevate A Bronx Tale beyond a simple gangster film into a more nuanced story about love crossing boundaries during a time of significant social change. Carmine, Alfred Sauchelli Jr. As Calagero's childhood friend, Carmine, Alfred Sauchelli Jr. embodied the neighborhood kid who never questions the racial prejudices passed down from their parents. Stay with your own kind, he tells C, representing the entrenched tribalism that the protagonist must eventually challenge. His character serves as a crucial contrast to C's evolving worldview. Born in 1977, Sauchelli was approximately 16 during filming and is now 47 years old. His portrayal of Carmine perfectly captured the narrow-minded teenager whose loyalty to neighborhood traditions and prejudices ultimately leads to violence and destruction. The tension between his friendship with C and their diverging perspectives creates some of the film's most compelling conflicts. What made Sauchelli's performance noteworthy was how effectively he portrayed a character trapped by his environment, unable to grow beyond the limitations of his upbringing. In the memorable car scene where racial tensions explode into violence, his portrayal shows both the dangerous power and ultimate emptiness of hate. A Bronx Tale marked Sauchelli's most significant film role. Unlike many of his castmates, he didn't pursue a high-profile acting career afterward, making his performance as Carmine all the more special for its authenticity. His character represents an important aspect of the film's message, that sometimes growing up means leaving behind not just childish things, but also the people who refuse to evolve. Through Carmine, we understand exactly what C risks losing when he chooses to follow his heart rather than neighborhood tradition. Rosina Anello, Catherine Narducci. As Rosina Anello, Calagero's protective mother, Catherine Narducci brought a grounding maternal presence to the testosterone-fueled world of A Bronx Tale. "Stay away from those boys on the corner," she warned C, her concern for her son's future palpable in every scene. Though not given as much screen time as the father figures, her character completed the family dynamic that anchored the story. Born in 1965, Narducci was around 28 during filming and is now 59 years old. A Bronx Tale was actually Narducci's first significant film role, a remarkable fact considering how naturally she embodied Rosina. She reportedly landed the part after accompanying her son to an open audition for the role of young Calogero. What made Narducci's performance special was her ability to convey volumes with limited screen time. Her worried glances, protective instincts, and the subtle way she navigates between her husband's strictness and her son's curiosity created a fully realized character. The dinner table scenes where family dynamics play out in quiet moments showcase her talent for bringing authenticity to every moment. After A Bronx Tale, Narducci built an impressive career, most notably as Charmaine Bucco in HBO's groundbreaking series The Sopranos. She later appeared in Chicago Overcoat, Jersey Boys, The Irishman, and had significant roles in series like Power, Godfather of Harlem, and Euphoria. Her early work in A Bronx Tale laid the foundation for a career portraying strong Italian-American women with depth and nuance, establishing her as one of the most authentic voices representing the Bronx on screen. Eddie Mush, Eddie Montanaro. As Eddie Mush, the neighborhood's notoriously unlucky gambler, Eddie Montanaro gave us one of A Bronx Tale's most memorable supporting characters. Everything he touches turns to mush, Calagero explains in the film's narration, introducing us to the lovable loser whose betting advice was so consistently wrong that people would wager against his picks. His character added authentic neighborhood color to the Bronx backdrop. Born in the 1930s, Montanaro was approximately in his 60s during filming and passed away in 2004. What many viewers don't realize is that Eddie Mush wasn't just a character. He was based on a real person from Palminteri's childhood. In fact, Montanaro himself was that actual person, essentially playing a version of himself in the film. This real-life connection added an extraordinary layer of authenticity to the character. What made Montanaro's performance so endearing was its unpolished genuineness. He wasn't a trained actor, but rather a neighborhood fixture, given the opportunity to immortalize his own legend on film. The scene where he predicts race winners with absolute confidence, only to crumple his losing tickets moments later, perfectly captures both the delusion and resilience that made his character unforgettable. Though Eddie Mush represented just one of the colorful background characters in A Bronx Tale, his inclusion speaks to the film's commitment to authenticity. Montanaro didn't pursue acting after his appearance, but he didn't need to. In one perfect role, he achieved screen immortality, giving us a character so real and specific that he's become part of cinematic gangster movie lore. In Eddie Mush, we see the film's beautiful balance of comedy and tragedy, and a reminder that every neighborhood has its legends. Joe Pesci, Tony Toupee. As Tony Toupee, one of Sonny's crew members, Joe Pesci brought his signature intensity to a small but memorable role in A Bronx Tale. "You listen to Sonny, kid," he advises Caladro in his distinctively raspy voice, representing the loyal foot soldiers who made up the neighborhood's mob hierarchy. His character showed another layer of the criminal world that surrounded young C. Born in 1943, Pesci was 50 during filming and is now 81 years old. Already an established star when he appeared in A Bronx Tale, Pesci had won an Academy Award for his electrifying performance in Goodfellas just a few years earlier in 1990. His brief appearance in De Niro's directorial debut represented a favor to his longtime collaborator, with whom he had already created cinematic magic in films like Raging Bull and Once Upon a Time in America. What made Pesci's performance as Tony Toupee memorable was how efficiently he established character with minimal screen time. With just a few lines and his unmistakable presence, he created a fully realized member of Sonny's crew, whose nickname alone revealed volumes about the character's vanity and the neighborhood's tendency to define people by their physical traits. After A Bronx Tale, Pesci continued his remarkable career with standout roles in films like Casino, Home Alone 2, and later came out of retirement for The Irishman, reuniting with De Niro and Martin Scorsese. Though his appearance in A Bronx Tale was brief, it reflected the film's exceptional casting down to even the smallest roles, ensuring that every character on screen contributed to the rich tapestry of Belmont Avenue life that made the film so authentically compelling. 3 decades since A Bronx Tale first graced theaters, its powerful messages about choices, father figures, and finding your own path continue to resonate. This film, born from Palminteri's personal experiences, gave us characters who felt as real as the people from our own neighborhoods. From established stars like De Niro to newcomers like Brancato, each actor brought authentic Bronx energy to their role. For some, the film launched greater careers. For others, it remains their defining moment. Yet together, they created a slice of 1960s life that feels genuine in every detail. What makes A Bronx Tale truly special is its timeless wisdom. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent, and the question of whether it's better to be loved or feared. The film continues finding new audiences who discover these truths for themselves. What's your favorite moment from this classic? Which character's journey resonated with you most? This story of growing up between competing influences remains a touchstone of American cinema, proving that sometimes the most specific stories become the most universal.